moving along really nicely in the camper. All the coating was finished. Brian installed everything, secured it to the wall, secured the tabletops to the cabinets. There's still a bit of plumbing we need to do. There's holes cut out for where the machine goes, but I really want to start feeling like things are falling into place and I need to make sure there's nothing I need to order and whatnot for our next few events coming up, our first few that we have scheduled. So I'm gonna start kind of unloading things. I've got these boxes first, which is just all camper stuff. I know I can't unload everything without having this back section also installed, but I figure it's a good place to start for now and just make me feel a little accomplished for the day. All right, this whole drawer is way bigger than what we were working with before, so I'm probably gonna need to get more little things to slide everything in. I honestly love that, having like a big drawer space here so that there's things I could easily access while I'm at the register. But that's also one of my favorite parts, is like organizing and putting everything exactly where I want it. So that's another reason I wanted to get started on that today. But I think I'm gonna need new things, so we'll see. All right, I ended up going to the store and getting some things to kind of fill in here, which is much better. Then I'll probably get more for under here to keep that nice and organized, but it's good for now. If you're a mobile business, you will also definitely need ways to keep all your cabinets from flying open while you're driving. I got quite a few different variations. I had some similar to this, but they were like the 3M brand. They were like white. I think I have extras over here. These ones, I didn't like them as much because they were really hard to like disconnect, and sometimes these little tab things would get completely stuck and I would just have to rip off like the 3M sticker to even be able to get it to open. We couldn't like fully close them. So I'm hoping that these ones work a little better, but I'll let you know, and I'll, as always, put all of this down below. So I got this specifically for the fridge. If your fridge flies open, your milk is going everywhere. So definitely worth the investment. I obviously really just wasn't sure which one to go with, so I got a few. I'd kind of rather have that than set up a system that I end up not liking. I would like to just do it one time and not have to do it again. So whichever ones you get, I would mess with beforehand. It looks like this one has a lock and an unlock setting. This lock I think is gonna be great on the fridge. I readjusted this setting so it was a little tighter so the door doesn't open at all, but you just slide, pinch, and then this guy will come out, a little bit of a tight fit, and that just falls to the side. So perfect. Okay, I decided to use these on these doors first, and if I don't like how far it comes out, I figured I could always add these on the front, but I was trying to not have anything on the front if possible. They're pretty easy to install. Then you just push and open. I just used the like 3M that was on there. They did come with little tiny screws, so if I want to add those, but I'm probably gonna try them for a little bit first before I fully commit to that. And I'm gonna do the same thing on this drawer. I don't like the way that these look, but I would rather have something look kind of meh than have the drawers fly open. That's kind of what started to ruin one of our old cabinets, is the drawer just kept like swinging open. So I installed these on both of these drawers. I think this one is fine to hold this one, but because these are bigger, it wasn't really working. Other things that we've added to our build along the way that have been incredibly helpful are these baskets. I honestly might even get more. I like keeping pictures and things that I use all the time right above here, which is where the machine goes. Then along this back, I used to keep tea, but we really expanded our tea selection going into this new year, so they're not all gonna fit there. I'm gonna find something else for that, but I might get another basket for here. Just any way you can like easily access things. These stay really well, nothing flies off the walls when we're driving, so A+ there. And then this ledge that we built has been super helpful. These are velcroed on. This whole thing has flipped off once before when we were driving, so I don't keep anything crazy up there, but usually in these I'll keep a little bit of like merch or mugs. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna put up there going into this year. Our license plate is like attached on the inside. I had it just duct taped, but recently I got these little things and those are nice. I also added one, wow, over on this side that I'll probably put like notes to baristas or things like that. But again, any surface that is usable, I will be using going into this next year. All right, the next one has been built, so I brought my paint. It's a little cold in here, so I have a space heater to make sure nothing freezes up. And yeah, we're just gonna keep rolling. Kissing our money goodbye. All right, we've had a lot going on today. Brian is currently cutting the top for our bench over here. The machine is in, thanks to my brother and Brian, of course. I decided it was probably best to not have doors here. Instead, I'm just gonna have this lip to prevent things from like sliding, but it'll be kind of easier access. Plus, obviously, customer side, nobody can really see whether or not there's doors on the cabinet anyway. So it's just easier to grab things without having to open doors coming in both sides. So it's gonna be the same with this. I've mentioned these before. I will link them below, but I've really loved these. They're also collapsible. So when we work events, I like to bring them to keep stuff in. And then I can collapse them when we're working. But also for in here, I just think they like look a lot nicer. They're really easy to clean and they fit a good amount of stuff and keep me organized. So yeah, those are in place. And then currently I'm putting these little eye hooks around kind of on like the lower level for things like cleaning supplies, which are in here, but we're just gonna have a bungee go there, nice and easy, and nothing important is going there. So if it falls over, it's just gonna be cleaning supplies really, so no biggie. So these are pretty easy because they just kind of twist into place. It's actually how we keep our machine from sliding around. We have one of these on either side and then we bungee it.
Lift it up, there you go. There we go.
Progress is definitely being made. We are so super duper close, which feels great. Our bench, we just fixed straight into the floor so that doesn't slide. We still need to get hinges for the top and then something to obviously like sit on. So that is in the works. I'm thinking either like a cushion or honestly, I might just get like a kind of Western style blanket and just lay that over top. We did that at a cafe I used to work at and it just adds like a cute kind of Western touch, which I love. Plumbing for the sink is really the last code related thing we need. And then we had a big sheet of plexiglass up here. These counters and the cabinets we got are taller than our last ones, which is nice, but it made our plexiglass not fit in here. So we're gonna have to cut that down before we put it in. I go back and forth a lot on the plexiglass. And I've kind of found being in Michigan, it's really nice to have it year round. I like not having the plexiglass for the purpose of like being able to really interact with customers all the way down to the bar and being able to like hand directly to them instead of through a little opening. But it's either when it's really cold outside, that plexiglass makes a huge difference. It stays so much warmer in here. Just the heat from the machine usually keeps us toasty. And as it starts to get like spring and in fall, the bees are just so bad. Having that extra protection from them helps a lot with less of an opening. We did have a wind curtain right here that's supposed to help like deter bees, flies, all that. It doesn't work as well as having obviously that full protection. So I think we're gonna go ahead and put that back up. it's like kind of a minor, the downside's minor compared to how much it helps us and keeps us warm. Also for like safety purposes, it's kind of nice that people can't lean over or enter through the window space. Knock on wood, we haven't had issues with that, but it is nice when you're working alone really early in the morning and it's dark to kind of feel like you have that extra layer of protection too, against people. I did also order one of these off of Amazon. We did have one that was a little bigger, but it was so big that we had to kind of cut it in weird areas because it curled up a little and was kind of a trip hazard. So this will be nice to have. If I end up liking it, I'll probably get one for the register area too. But I will link this and a lot of the other things that we have in this build down below. I am at the camper today. Everything is finally finalized. It feels incredible. We just actually had our inspection and we passed. So we are good to go. We're good to start serving for the year, which is great. But I figured a good way to kind of end this video out would be to go over what the inspectors typically go over, some of like the main points and things that they look for, just so that you're prepared. And obviously this is true for like the state and county I am in. It might vary from state to state. But once your initial inspection is done, which is a little more involved, this is kind of like the inspection steps after that. So usually the inspector will walk on, they'll make sure you have your documentation first. So they ask for like your food manager certificate and your whatever kind of food license you have. They'll make sure that that is like displayed somewhere people can see. Then they usually come on. First step is always to wash their hands. So he came over here, washed his hands, made sure always that there's soap and water, or hot water, and napkins. If there's not, that's an automatic fail. So always, always, always. I would hope you would have that anyway, but this is our hot water heater. It has not steered us wrong yet. I can link that down below as well. It gets incredibly hot, which is perfect for dishwashing, hand washing, all your sanitary needs. They'll make sure you have a 3-basin sink. Usually they will ask, how do you wash dishes? What do you wash with? Another thing that they test is your sanitizer. So I will have all of that for sanitizer linked below too. But you need your sanitizer bucket, and then they'll pull out these little test strips, which if you haven't seen them before, at least this is the method of Sani we use. We drop like a little kind of pill looking thing in there with some hot water, fill it up halfway, and then we have these little quasi test strips, and you want it to be in the middle when you test your water. So they will always check that your water is diluted correctly with the correct chemical hot water ratio. I'm sure I'm missing things. Oh, another thing they test is they will look at your refrigeration system. They will make sure that they'll make sure that's the appropriate temperature, and then they will pull out milk, and you need to have a thermometer on board with you. They do bring their own sometimes, but you always need one. They'll take that and they will check the temperature of your milk. Sometimes it's straight from the jug, sometimes you'll pour it in a little cup and they'll test it from there, and that needs to be in the safe zone as well. They do also usually ask a few questions, like where do you dump your water? What do you do if someone's sick? Are you sick today? They will rate your hygiene, so they make sure you look presentable enough to be serving the general public, that your hair is tied back, things like that. They'll usually ask, how do you wash your hands? They just need to ask those basic questions to make sure you kind of know what you're doing. And then they'll check to make sure you have your standard operating procedures on the camper somewhere that you could refer back to kind of at any time. Aside from that, sometimes things are asked like, how do you prevent bugs and critters? We have screens on everything, which helps keep them away. They will obviously check to make sure, in general, everything's sanitary. Maybe ask a few questions here or there, like how do you prep this? How do you make that? And see how you go about making things, because at least where I am, you need to be open when you're having your inspection. So as customers come in, they can kind of watch how you're doing and cleaning things. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. So they'll do that. They'll ask kind of whatever questions, always following the standard operating procedures or things that maybe you learned when you were getting your food manager certificate. I know that was a lot, but yeah, feeling good. I will also just kind of walk you around now that the camper is fully built and beautiful. We did reinstall this plexiglass. We do get a lot of questions about that. It was just custom cut from Home Depot. This rail has been absolutely life-changing, not having to take syrups down and put them up every time. All these are secured so much nicer. Everything stays intact. And then looking over at this side, I just cannot believe Brian figured out all this plumbing by himself. I know it was like a huge project and definitely the most stressful part. We were having pump issues, we were having like custom fitting issues, but this is kind of the situation down there. And that's been crazy awesome. We just had this steam wand rebuilt. It was definitely just past its time. So that's amazing, gonna keep that going good. And then yeah, down here we just leave some odds and ends. All of our cleaning stuff kind of goes in the category down here. And then having this kind of screwed in is nice. Before we just had it laid flat, but all this space under counter has been life-changing. And yeah, we run off of jugged water, if you haven't seen that before. So this one goes into the machine, and then the waste from the machine goes down in that back jug. And then same thing on this side, but this one is for our pitcher rinser. But the camper is so much nicer. It feels like there's so much more space. Overall, I think my feelings between like, should you build yourself or should you hire somebody, definitely comes down to personal preference in terms of what is your skill level and what is your stress level. If we had had this built, we would have spent a lot more money, but we wouldn't have had to worry about things like trying to figure out plumbing last minute when we needed to get another inspection in there and get all this kind of put back together. Lots and lots of trips to like Home Depot, an insane amount of last minute Amazon purchases. Just it definitely consumed our time for a while, consumed our minds. It was really high stress, but now that we got it done, it does feel good to say like we did this, which is great. Don't have to worry about maybe sketchy contractors or things like that. If you're going to find somebody, because I personally would not have had this skill level, I owe a lot of it to Brian and his ability to learn things so quickly and so well. So he figured most of this out and I was just his helper. But definitely, if you're going to find somebody who knows what they're doing in terms of food truck specifics. So make sure they know what materials need to be used in order to be food safe, and make sure, of course, you have your contract, everything just down solid. If they have reviews, referrals, that is A+. A lot of things are very different. Look at your generator capacity, because that can be an absolute nightmare. These machines, plus having like a hot water heater, they just suck up so much of your power. So you're gonna want somebody who really, really knows what they're doing in all aspects, electrical, plumbing, the works. But yeah, I hate to say it comes down to personal preference, How many people do you know that can help in certain areas if you're feeling stuck? All in all though, this space is so much better than what we had before. Especially being mobile, having everything actually like set up against the walls and knowing things aren't going to be sliding around anymore is game changing. Thanks for watching. Now that we have this beautiful new camper, I'm hoping to make a lot more videos and share kind of our daily lives and a little bit more behind the scenes. But let me know if you have any other questions, anything I didn't touch on in the comments, and I will see you next time.